In 2022 and 2023, big tech made headlines for firing hundreds of thousands of workers. Executives called it efficiency. Investors called it discipline. Wall Street celebrated. Stock prices surged. The message seemed clear. The tech industry had hired too many people during the pandemic boom, and now reality was finally catching up. But then something strange happened. The same companies that spent months announcing layoffs quietly started posting new jobs. The same departments that had been downsized began recruiting again. Some former employees even received calls asking whether they'd consider returning. No flashy press releases, no triumphant announcements, no headlines celebrating a hiring comeback. Just a slow, quiet reversal, because beneath the surface, many of the workers who were supposedly no longer needed turned out to be more important than anyone realized, and the cost of losing them is becoming increasingly difficult to ignore. The Great Tech Layoff Era. The numbers were staggering. Beginning in late 2022, the technology sector experienced one of the largest waves of layoffs in modern history. Companies that had spent years competing aggressively for talent suddenly reversed course. Thousands became tens of thousands. Tens of thousands became hundreds of thousands. Software engineers, recruiters, product managers, designers, data analysts, entire teams disappeared almost overnight. The justification seemed reasonable. During the pandemic, technology demand exploded. Remote work accelerated digital transformation. Consumers spent more time online than ever before. Companies hired aggressively to keep pace. Then growth slowed. Executives looked at payroll costs and saw an obvious target. Layoffs were presented as a necessary correction, a return to normal, a painful but unavoidable adjustment. At least, that's how the story was told. Wall Street loved it. There's a reason layoffs often trigger stock rallies. Investors love lower costs. Payroll is one of the largest expenses for most technology companies. Reducing headcount creates an immediate improvement in financial metrics. Profit margins increase, expenses decline, efficiency ratios improve. The math looks fantastic, at least in the short term. For executives under pressure to deliver quarterly results, layoffs often provide a quick and highly visible solution. And initially, the strategy appeared successful. Many technology companies saw investor confidence improve after announcing workforce reductions. The market rewarded discipline, or so it seemed. The problem with cutting people. Here's what spreadsheets often fail to capture. People are not interchangeable. A company's value doesn't exist only in products, patents, or infrastructure. It exists inside the knowledge of its employees. Every experienced engineer understands systems that took years to build. Every product manager carries institutional memory. Every operations specialist knows hidden processes nobody bothered documenting. When organizations remove thousands of employees, they aren't simply reducing costs. They're removing knowledge. And knowledge is much harder to replace than a salary. The hidden cost of layoffs. At first, everything looked fine. Systems continued operating, products remained online, customers barely noticed, management declared success. Then the cracks started appearing. Projects slowed, deadlines slipped, technical problems took longer to resolve, new product launches became more difficult, remaining employees found themselves covering responsibilities once handled by multiple people. The problem wasn't immediately visible because institutional knowledge doesn't disappear all at once. Its absence becomes obvious only when something breaks, and eventually, something always breaks. The talent they couldn't replace. One of the biggest assumptions behind mass layoffs was that talent would remain readily available. If companies needed people later, they could simply hire again. But reality proved more complicated. Many laid-off workers didn't sit around waiting. They joined startups, moved into other industries, started businesses, accepted opportunities with competitors. Some left technology entirely. By the time companies realized they needed certain expertise back, those workers had already moved on. The talent pool they assumed would remain available wasn't always there, and rehiring became far more difficult than anticipated. The AI reality check artificial intelligence played a major role in layoff narratives. Executives increasingly discussed automation. Investors imagined leaner organizations powered by AI. Some people even predicted that software engineering teams would shrink dramatically. The future seemed obvious. Fewer workers, more automation, greater efficiency. Why rehiring is happening quietly. If companies are hiring again, why aren't they talking about it? Because it creates an uncomfortable narrative. Those are conversations many organizations would prefer to avoid. So the rehiring often happens quietly. A new opening appears here, A specialized role appears there. A former employee receives a discreet outreach message. No grand announcements, just a gradual recognition that some cuts may have gone too far. Technology companies spend enormous amounts of money documenting systems. Yet much of the most valuable knowledge never exists in documentation. It's stored in conversations, experience, judgment, pattern recognition. The result is a hidden crisis, not a shortage of software, a shortage of understanding. The new hiring strategy. Today's hiring environment looks very different from the aggressive expansion of the pandemic years. Companies aren't necessarily rebuilding entire workforces. They're becoming far more selective. Instead of hiring broadly, many organizations are focusing on highly specialized talent. Because when AI handles routine work, judgment becomes even more valuable. The return of the indispensable employee. For years, business culture promoted the idea that nobody is indispensable. There's truth to that. Eventually, every role can be replaced, or even the most visible. They were the people who prevented problems before they happened, and their absence often becomes obvious only after they're gone. The bigger lesson. The story isn't really about layoffs, or rehiring, or even technology. It's about incentives, knowledge loss, reduced innovation, lower morale, operational fragility. These costs don't always appear immediately, which makes them easy to underestimate, until they become impossible to ignore. The irony nobody saw coming. The most surprising outcome of the layoff era may be this. The more powerful technology becomes, the more valuable human expertise appears to be, not less valuable. More, because powerful tools increase leverage, and leverage magnifies judgment. A great engineer equipped with AI becomes dramatically more productive, the quiet reassembly of distributed expertise. In many organizations, the current wave of rehiring is not simply a reversal of layoffs, but a structural correction. After years of optimizing for headcount reduction and short-term efficiency metrics, teams are discovering that software systems behave less like modular assets and more like living networks of interdependent knowledge. When too many nodes are removed at once, the system may continue functioning, but its ability to evolve safely begins to degrade. In parallel, AI tools are changing the shape of this reconstruction. They reduce the time needed to regain surface-level productivity, but they do not restore institutional memory. As a result, organizations are learning that acceleration without context leads to fragile systems that are fast to build but difficult to trust. Over time, this is pushing companies toward a hybrid model where automation handles execution while humans are increasingly responsible for coherence, continuity, and judgment. The mass layoffs of recent years were presented as a necessary correction, and in some cases, they probably were. But the quiet rehiring happening across the industry suggests a more complicated reality. Companies discovered that cutting costs is easy. Replacing expertise is hard. Automation is powerful. Institutional knowledge is powerful too. Artificial intelligence is transforming the workplace faster than almost anyone predicted. Yet many organizations are finding that technology works best when it amplifies human talent rather than replacing it. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Do you think big tech cut too deeply during the layoff wave, or was it a necessary reset? And would you return to a company that laid you off? Let us know in the comments, and we'll see you in the next one.
The system isn't as simple as it seems, and this is only one piece of the puzzle. Let's uncover the next one.